Quick side note, we got some Blantons, okay? We pulled up, we got a little story about this, so we pulled up to LCBO, we got offered this, and I'm gonna share that in a whole different video when we crack this one open. Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Jesse, and if you're new here, thanks for joining us. Today, we're going to be continuing our Decapitation series. So if you're new to this, that is where we take a brand new bottle that has been unopened, and we give it a first shot. Obviously, bottles need time to open up, and, you know, they get better with time, but that's besides the point. This series is all about opening new bottles, first taste, first thoughts, and speaking of first, today we've got my first Four Roses product. Now this is just Four Roses yellow label, as they like to call it. I believe it used to have a more yellow label. This is more of a tan label now, but that is why they call it that. This is Four Roses standard most available offering, and yeah, I haven't tried any of their products, so I'm excited for this one. I know a lot of people praise the Four Roses single barrel, but they didn't have that at my local LCBO. And speaking of local LCBO, this goes for $32.20 for a 750. So I mean, it's in the budget category. So we're gonna see how this thing goes. We're gonna get it poured up and let you know our first thoughts. So let's get into this whiskey business. Alright, first line of order, as always, to decapitate this bitch. So, super easy, plastic. Hopefully we're gonna get a sexy cork pop here. Pretty good, pretty good. There's the cork, got a wood top. It doesn't look synthetic. Pretty thick cork. Very thick glass here. Very thick mouthpiece. Oh, I'm already smelling that, so we're gonna get this poured up. A little bit of a hefty pour, but don't worry, it's always gonna go good use, either into my system or into the infinity bottle, which is now chilling behind you, because if you guys have been a watcher of the channel, you would know that this bar is always kind of changing, and I'm always trying to reorganize it and get it situated. So I've actually moved all the brandy, liqueurs, and cocktail making behind you to like a secondary bar. And here we have our Irish down at the bottom behind me. We've got Scotches here. We've got Canadians here, and then we've got two American, or two ryes, Canadian into American, and then all the American there. As you can see, I'm an American fan. Even though I'm a Canadian, I'm an American fan. So, what can I say? You know, I really like the bourbon. So, right now I'm getting toffee, caramel, definitely getting some oak. Little floral, slight citrus, like orange peel. But while that sits, we're gonna go ahead and jump into some information about this. So, got my trusty dusty piece of paper here. So pretty much the Four Roses uses two different mash bills. They go by mash bill E and mash bill B. So mash bill E is 75% corn, 20% rye, 5% malted barley, and mash bill B is 60% corn, 35% rye, and 5% malted barley. So this yellow label here is actually a blend of both. So it's a blend of both mash bills, and they use 5 original and proprietary yeast strains to create 10 different bourbon recipes, and they take around 8 to 10 of those and mix them together to get the yellow label. So it's kind of just a blend of all of their products, both mash bills, all 5 yeast strains. Their products are double distilled, once through the column still, and then once into a pot still. This comes in at 40%, so as low as you can go, 40% alcohol by volume or 80 proof. You know, I prefer higher, but it's budget, right? So it is, there's no age statement, but it is believed to be anywhere from 4 years to 12 years, with an average of 5.5 years, they're saying, is what is in this bottle. So around 5.5 years, but some could be older, some could be younger. And it pours a light amber, I would say. It is aged in charred new oak American barrels. Each barrel has been burned for 45 seconds, giving it between a number 3 and number 4 char. Something that I thought was pretty cool, I don't know if a lot of distillers actually do this, but they use non-GMO grains. And as someone who eats healthy, goes out of the way to buy certain organic foods, non-GMO foods, I eat a ketogenic diet, I value that, especially in my alcohol, because it's not every day that you see non-GMO. Obviously, like, it's not like a food product where they have the non-GMO certified, so it is cool. I don't know if other distilleries do use non-GMO grains. Like I said, I'm sure there are some, but it's just cool that they list that. And actually their whole website has a whole process, their recipe breakdown, their distillation process, their strains, and everything like that. So their website is pretty cool. I definitely recommend checking it out if you're going to be trying some of their bourbon, and I'm sure most of you probably have tried their bourbon if you're a bourbon fan. But anyways, check out their website, it's pretty cool. So we're gonna get into this tasting now that it has rested. Not that old, so you don't need to rest it that long. Definitely like a nice hint of floral in there. Not super floral, not like perfumey, but just like you're walking by your neighbor's garden. Bit of pear, fresh pear. Almost a juicy apple, like juicy fruit into like a crisp red apple maybe. Similar to like the Buffalo Trace apple. The original juicy fruit, the yellow one. The ethanol is there. It's not strong, but it's there. Still a little bit of caramel, toffee, and I feel like there's some charred oak in there. It's a nice nose. It's not super complex. Ooh, there's some vanilla in there too. So I'm getting citrus, vanilla, nice sweet, a little bit of floral undertone. Like I said, the pear, the juicy fruit, the apple. I want to say a little bit of cherry, but I think it's just the juicy fruit coming through. Without further ado, let's get into this first Four Roses product ever. Super excited, so I hope you're sipping along with me. And if you are, cheers. Very soft. It's very thin, lightweight. It's not oily at all. Just kind of washes through. Though saying that, the finish is still somewhat apparent for a 40% that is that thin. It's very light and florally. I almost get a little bit of brine in there. It almost reminds me of a Scotch, I would say an Isla that is very, very, very lightly peated. I am getting a little bit of that wood char. Definitely not no peat smoke, but wood char for sure. Very thin. As you swallow, you kind of get a bitter oak wood. The finish is just kind of like a warm rye spice with, I want to say, like a floral fruit undertone. Not super sweet fruit, but almost, this sounds bad, but almost as if you walked by a bowl of rotting fruit and you smell it. Like, because, you know, if you have like a fresh apple on the counter, you're probably not going to smell it. But if it's rotting, you're going to start to smell the fruit. Not like moldy fruit, but like just starting to rot fruit. You get that sweet fruit in the air. That's kind of what I'm getting on the palate. It's very subtly sweet. It's in the background. Same with the floral. It tastes very Scotch-like to me. Maybe it's just because it's so light. It's not bad, but it just doesn't stand out. It's well balanced for what it is. I think this would be a good entry point for a Scotch drinker into bourbon because I'm seeing some resemblance there. The sweetness of caramel and toffee that I get on the nose is not coming through on the palate, though. Very hard to distinctly point out what fruits you're tasting. It's just fruit as a whole. But on the nose, you get the orange peel, you get the pear, slight cocktail cherry. I'm saying it. I smell it. And that apple juicy fruit, but you don't get that on the palate. So the palate's a little bit of a letdown, but I mean, what can we expect here? $32 for a 750. We'll go ahead and read the back as we always do. It says, The Legend of Four Roses. Paul Jones Jr., the founder of Four Roses Bourbon, became smitten by a beautiful southern belle. He sent a proposal to her, and she replied that if her answer were yes, she would wear a corsage of roses on her gown to the upcoming grand ball. When she showed up the night of the ball in her beautiful gown, she wore a corsage of 4 roses. He later named his bourbon 4 Roses as a symbol of his devout passion for the lovely belle. How sweet. You guys ever just think about like how back in the day they went to balls, you know? It was like the whole town went to a ball. Like, where does that happen now? The whole town goes to a party, and the ball was just this magical thing where you dressed up like it was the Grammys and the Oscars. And, you know, yeah, sure, there's local neighborhood parties, but, you know, it's not the type of thing where you dress up and it's all elegant. It's just kind of crazy. It is definitely something out of a movie, but, like, to think that kind of stuff actually happened back in the day, it's kind of cool. I mean, we live in a way different time. Can't say I would choose either or, but it'd be cool to experience something like that. Just go to a ball, you know, have a ball. You know what? I got the fruit. I got the juicy fruit. The appley juicy fruit right on the end. Right on the back of the tongue. Finish doesn't really change. Sweet fruit in the background with some floral, and then mainly just nice warm spice. Not super strong. Lasts about medium length. Overall, I'm gonna have to say this baby gets a 80 on the nose. It's a good nose. The palate is going to be just under that at 77. I think it's nice. It's entry level. It's more like a Scotch, but I'm one that likes big, bold flavors. I like black coffee. I like apple cider vinegar. I like, you know, just big, bold flavors, straight sauerkraut. I like super spicy things. This isn't hitting the spot for me, but I do think there is a place for this, and I think that coming from Scotch into bourbon, this would be a nice entry point. You get the floral notes of Scotch, you get the lightness on the palate, and yeah, I think there is a spot for it, but it's not for me. The finish is kind of lacking. I like that real hot, spicy burn, long lasting. It has a good flavor to the finish, but it's not super complex, and you know, it's not what I'm looking for in a bourbon typically, even for its price category. So I'm gonna go ahead and say the finish on this one is probably like $69. It's nothing to write home about, but like I said, given the price, and I just figured, you know, I had to try it. I had to try a Four Roses product. You got to do it. Like, they're one of the big names, and you know, I'm intrigued. That floral note isn't something I typically would get in a bourbon. I'm not opposed to floral things, but I don't typically gravitate towards them. I do like some scotches, so I feel like maybe their single barrel would be much more up my alley, being that it's a higher proof. Sure, it's a higher viscosity and a little bit more quality and selection put into it given the price, but I cannot get it where I am right now. So maybe if I go traveling again, I will have to see if I can pick it up, because I think there's potential here in the Four Roses brand for my palate. So the overall rating for this Four Roses Yellow Label, overall, I'm gonna give it a 78. Like I said, I think there's a place for it. It just is, it's not up my alley at the moment. But as always, your preferences may vary, so let me know what you guys think of this down below. Anyways, guys, that's gonna do for this review of Four Roses Yellow Label. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, leave a comment down below of maybe some suggestions or reviews you want to see in the future. I appreciate any comment, any feedback. It all helps YouTube algorithm. It helps me out, and I appreciate you guys watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you want to see more. There's going to be more coming. And yeah, till then, this has been Jesse, and I'm out. Peace.